Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Reverend Sherri's Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I am Reverend Sherri James, and I'm the Senior Minister for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church in Los Angeles, affectionately known as Upchurch. And this hangout is something we've been doing for the last couple of years now, and we do a number of different topics. And we are in the middle of a series called Empower the Giant Within. Empower the Giant Within You. And I'm just going to empower the giant within you. And so this series is really a deep dive into your spiritual identity. We talk a lot about being created in the image likeness of God, but I think that I want to clarify what that really means, because how you understand yourself determines how you show up for life. And so it is so important that we have a grasp of who we are. And so this is our outline for tonight. I got started a little late. I was trying to throw in a slide so I could share with you something that's coming up at Upchurch. But I've got a couple of announcements, and then we'll do our opening prayer. We'll talk about why spiritual identity matters. And then we will look at does life pay, because we're working with the chapter Life Pays. And why this question comes up, and then we'll look at how does life pay, and we'll look at those 4 ways that life pays us, and then we'll have a Q&A. So if you want to follow along on the blog, the piece today is what are you living for? I also have an alternate title, what gets you out of bed, but these are the 4 ways to know whether you are living for life or for the material things of life. And so I encourage you to visit revsherri.com and read the companion blog and follow along. It always mirrors most times what we're doing in the Bible Hangout. Our platform is Webinar Jam. If you are coming to this Bible Hangout through YouTube or through some other referrer, I want to encourage you to join my newsletter, because I send out the link so that you can register early for it. Of course, the Bible Hangout is completely free. It's always free, but Webinar Jam has a specific system as far as registering for the webinar and to be able to show up for it. So if you got to me through some other means, then make sure you just head right on over to revsherri.com so you can stay in the loop. Okay, so I'm hoping that you guys can see this. It looks big on my screen, but it might be small on yours. We have this incredible event. It's the brainchild of one of our members, Margaret Peterson. She's the head of the ushers at Upchurch, and it's called Worshiping in Color. And it is Sunday, November 1st, and we are so fortunate. The Reverend Dr. Sheila McKeithen, who is the president of the Universal Foundation for Better Living and also the senior minister of the Universal Center of Truth in Kingston, Jamaica, is going to be our guest speaker. And she's doing a workshop that immediately follows the service called Living the Good Life. And we'll be working from her book, 12 Steps to Your Healing. So we've got so many things planned. The day is purple, so make sure you wear purple. It is at 600 West Queen Street in Inglewood, California. Everyone is invited. I hope that you can make it if you're in the Southern California area. If you can think of it almost like a mini revival, that probably is the best way to describe it. It's like a mini revival. And what is wonderful about it is that we are reaching out to all of the New Thought churches in our community. And so, meaning as far north as Santa Barbara and Santa Clarita, and as far south as San Diego and Carlsbad, and as far east as Pomona, and all the way out to Santa Monica Beach. So, when you go to church, normally you get to go to church with your spiritual family, and I don't know about you guys, but definitely in our New Thought community, you feel some kind of way about your church. So on Sunday, you're at your church, and you very rarely get to go and fellowship with somebody else. But this event really gives us an opportunity to fellowship and build community within the New Thought community in the Southern California area. So those of you from Agape and from Unity West Side and Unity Burbank and any of the Centers for Spiritual Living, Guidance, all of you guys, this is like, come on down and hang out with us on November 1st, because we will be partying and celebrating God as only we know how. And so I'm very, very excited about that. I see a couple of comments. Uh, Okay, all right. They are not relevant to me. Those are comments about rain. All right. The scriptures for this 9-part series, there are two. The first is John 10:34. Is it not written in your law, I said you are gods? And Genesis 1:26, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness and let them have dominion. Right where you are, if you would just take a moment to simply relax and just bask in the awareness that the divine presence of God breathes itself as you. That no matter what your life looks like, no matter what the texture and the color of it is, the essence of who you are is spirit. The basis, when I boil you down to your essence, is God. And for that, we give thanks. We are so appreciative of this divine heritage. And we thank you for this platform that gives us an opportunity to learn more about who we are so that we might have the opportunity to live up to the high calling of our spiritual parentage. I thank you, Spirit, for this class. I thank you for the right words to communicate these concepts. And I just thank you for the conversation tonight. And I thank you for the breakthroughs that will happen. In the name and through the power that is in the name of the one that is called the Christ, I affirm that this prayer is so, and so it is, and amen. So again, we see this card every week, why spiritual identity matters. Your spiritual identity matters because you are spirit. You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity, a soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living Son of the living God. Your spiritual identity is enormously important. It is what you are. Who you are changes throughout the history of your life. At one point, you were somebody's son or daughter, still are. But then as you grew, you took on other roles, and so you were John Doe the teenager, and then you were John Doe the soccer player, and then maybe but over your lifetime, you wear many roles. Much of the confusion about life comes from identifying with who you are and not with what you are. What you are never changes. What you are is spirit being. What you are is God incarnate. So understanding that is enormously important because it determines how you show up in life. Quite frankly, that's it. It determines how you show up in life. And so if you don't know that you are the living Son of the living God, then you don't carry yourself that way. It's like if you were to, let's say you're going for a big promotion at work and you don't know yet that you've gotten it and you've applied, and let's say it's a tough field of competition and you're hoping that you get it, but you don't know. You don't know if you're going to get it. It could go your way, it could go another way. And so there's a way that you carry yourself. And let's say that you have gotten the position, but the news hasn't yet reached you. They've made the decision, they have sided in your favor, but they decide they're going to delay the announcement for whatever reason. Maybe there is a hiring freeze, but there's some reason that they're going to delay communicating who's been selected for the position. And so you continue to embody the role that you understand yourself playing. And you don't step into the higher position until it becomes apparent to you that it is yours. And so it is that way with your spiritual identity. When you don't know who you are, when you're asleep to who you are, things can set you off. You easily ride the up and down roller coaster of go into an emotional rut cycle and come out of one. Appearances in your life feel very real. They feel like they're too big for you to manage. So this is enormously important for you to grasp who you are, because it changes how you approach life. When you know that you are made in the image likeness, and you know that you create your experience, not that your experience is somehow impressed upon you from some outside force, it changes how you deal with the circumstances in your life. The reason that you shrink from the challenges in your life is because you don't know who you are. When you understand that challenges are simply opportunities for you to express the God presence inside of you. But that's very different from I'm being weighed down from pressure on all sides. And so the waking up process changes how you show up for life. How do you know that you're spiritually awake? Well, how are you showing up? It's not, you don't need a spiritual guru to tell you whether or not you're spiritually awakened. You can look at your own life. How are you showing up? When things happen, do you go into the, I'm so tired of this. So your spiritual identity, I don't know how to say it any differently, it's everything. Quite frankly, it's everything. And so it is enormously important that you grasp who you are and what you are. So I always use a real world person who represents whatever the lesson is that we are talking about tonight. And the person I wanted to highlight tonight, and especially because she has the series that is a 7-part series, I believe that began last night, or no, that begins this Sunday night, is Oprah Winfrey. And as you know, she has made a monument, whatever you think of her, whether you are a fan of hers or not, what you can say with clarity is that she has reached for, whether sincerely, insincerely, whatever you believe, I don't know, where people fall. I trust what I see. But she has reached for the better part of herself. And you can see it in the work that she's done. You can see it in the schools that she's built, the causes that she's gotten behind, both politically and in terms of social justice, and in terms of art and just general philanthropy. I think recently she just donated $12 million for the wing of a museum. So it is, at least by the outer evidence of what she is doing, she is reaching for the better part of herself. And so I wanted to highlight that because the topic tonight is what gets you out of bed. What makes you sit up and put 2 feet on the floor. And what's driving you. And in many cases, what's driving you are all the ways that you have obligated yourself or overpromised yourself, and not for the opportunity to express the God presence that resides. That's like secondary. It's like, we'll get to that, but right now I got to get to work so I can make the money to pay the bills and all of that. There's a quote. This was one of the belief videos, one of the earlier ones that she released, and she talked about the reciprocity in this universe. And the quote, she says that when you do, it's already done, because that's the law. And this is going to be part of what we talk about tonight, which is that what you do is what you think you do to another is actually what you do to yourself. What you think you do to another is actually what you do to yourself. It has to happen in you before it can happen out of you. This is one of the reasons why people ignoring the call for action of the oppressed in the world is so egregious. Not just because it's wrong and you just shouldn't do it, but you're actually doing it to yourself. In order to put somebody in jail, you got to be in jail. And so that's how it works. That when Nelson Mandela was in prison, so was his jailer, because somebody's got to stay there to watch it. So it's a consciousness that we have this idea that, well, that person is locked up and I'm free, and it's like, no, you're not. That's not how it works. In order for there to be a jail, somebody's got to maintain it, which means you got to get in there with me. So we've got this very warped sense of how to rehabilitate people, and how to, quote unquote, get them back on the right track. Well, I don't even know if anybody's even sincerely trying to do that anymore. But the point is that it is you cannot do to another what you do not do first to yourself. You cannot discriminate against another unless you first do it to yourself. And so you must be mindful of the hate you send out, because the hate you send out has to come through you. So you have to become it to release it. Ray says, amen. Marvin says, my minister used to tell us that all rain comes from God. Oh, y'all talking about the rain. Alita says, when you do, it's already done. Is that the same as you reap what you sow? Yeah. And see, we think of you reap what you sow has like a time delay. There's no time delay in you reap what you sow. There's just you reap what you sow. That's it. There's no time delay. It has become you. And it has a life cycle. And so you wake up at say a point along the life cycle of something that you have set in motion. But the moment it comes out of you, it's you. Because it has happened in you. So there's no time delay. When you do, it's already done. When you do, it is already done. So does life pay? And the question is, why does this question come up? And the thing is that, well, first of all, the answer is yes, life pays, and it actually pays you for all that you are worth. But the question comes up because you don't know what you are. Once you know what you are, that question has nowhere to come. It does not even present itself anymore. So once you wake up, that question goes away. But this is what Imelda Shanklin says, and I think that is just powerful. And this is on page 72 in the chapter. If you want to get a copy of the book, you can actually visit my friend's site, truthunity.net, and put in her name, and you get a free PDF download of the text. But on page 72, what she says, and I think it's powerful, she says, a rigid application of the honest answer to this question will do you a number of favors. It will explain itself in ways that will convince you that life plays fair. It will reveal why your efforts do not always produce expected results. It will make plain the challenging fact that God's wage scale is exact, that on God's payroll no favorites are listed. It will show you that you cannot be paid for your earning capacity only. It will teach you the most important fact in the economics of the universe. Life pays an accurate wage. It pays you for what you do, but more vitally than that, it pays you in what you do. So for what you do, but also in what you do. So give money and you're repaid in money. Give kindness and you're repaid in kindness. Give joy and you're repaid in joy, but give hate and you're repaid in hate. Give judgment and you're repaid in judgment. So Ralph Waldo Emerson has a wonderful essay called Compensation. Maybe that's how we'll close out the year, because I've got a 3-part series I got to figure out for the end of the year. But compensation, that this universe, it compensates. And we know this everywhere outside the spiritual realm. We understand that. Anywhere in business, anywhere in science, anyone will tell you for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And somehow we sort of bump our heads and think that it does not apply in the spiritual realm. It absolutely applies everywhere, because the principle is consistent. And so when we feel put upon in life, what we are really acknowledging are the ways that we are out of integrity with God. I gotta let that just sit right there. Because if you talk to anybody long, if you talk to me long enough, because I don't want to put this in some way like I have somehow reached some kind of pinnacle. I'm working on me, right? I'm working on me. And the thing is that if you talk to anybody long enough, you will get their story. Just get them talking, and they'll hold the facade for a while. Some of them can hold it with the best of them. But at some point, the mask is going to come down, and you will find all the ways that they feel that life is unfair, that they have been mistreated, that they have been put upon, that someone has cheated them, that someone has betrayed them. And what you are really acknowledging is not the betrayal, the cheating, the put uponness, and all of that. What you are acknowledging is all the places where you are out of alignment with the power and the presence of God. So the work is always on you, because it can't come to you unless it first comes through you. I cannot do anything to you. This applies to you individually, but it also applies to groups collectively. So be mindful when you join in with a group to talk about the people that are oppressing you. Be mindful of that, because spiritual law doesn't like step aside because it's wrong that sons are being killed by the police. Spiritual law doesn't like change because it's wrong that one group in America, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, is being gunned down by the police. Spiritual law doesn't change. Life pays a fair wage. Life pays a fair wage. And when you believe otherwise, what you are really saying is that I do not believe that God is fair. I even saw someone, I got a good friend, this was some video, and it was on Facebook in the little news feed, and some other person was being harmed by the cops, and like one more time, and the person wrote, "Where is God?" But it was such a confession of a misunderstanding of how this universe works. And until we get a right understanding, the problem persists. Ray says, "Amen. I've been told that I'm not dealing with reality when I don't agree with the opinion of group mentality." It takes courage to stand up and stand on principle. It takes courage to stand on principle and say, even though I see the atrocities that are happening, I stand on the truth that God is all there is, and that this appearance is simply an appearance, and it will change. And the first person I'm going to make it change with is inside of me. I'm going to get right so that I may be of service to other people. Because this is not about staying in the background and not getting involved. We've done enough of that in New Thought. We've stayed on the sidelines of too many things. We absolutely must stand up and be a part of the conversation. We absolutely must be part of the solution. But that doesn't mean you get in there and lose your awareness of who you are spiritually in the quest to help your fellow man. So how does life pay? Well, the first way that life pays is that it's a witness for your true character. It is a witness for your true character. She writes on page 74, "The rule is, let your living, not your tongue, recommend you. A presence as of insincerity accompanies one who tries to appear what he is not." And y'all know those people, always trying to look like what they are not. "But sincerity clothes the honest one as with a holy vestment. Your living justifies a high claim or makes a high claim look ridiculous. What your living justifies, you don't have to demand. You possess by virtue of having accomplished. In other words, what is yours sticks to you like glue. You couldn't get rid of it if you tried. So you must become it, and then it sticks to you. You don't have to go chasing after money. You build the consciousness for money within yourself. That's the problem with the chasing of money, is that it's a backwards way to live. Because the belief is that by my outer doing, I am bringing the money to me. And it is never by your outer doing. There is outer doing to be done, but you've got to think the thoughts that precede it. It is the thinking that makes it so. Johnny would say, I am the thinker that thinks the thought that creates the thing. I am the thinker. Marvin says, all clocks in a room will enter in. Uh-oh. I don't know this word, Marvin. Entrain to the grandfather clock. Be the grandfather clock and radiate the fruits of spirit. Oh, you just hit a word I don't know. Entrain. E-N-T-R-A-I-N. I got to tell my mama about that. Okay. All clocks in a room will entrain. Basically, get in sync to the grandfather clock. Be the grandfather clock and radiate the fruits of the spirit.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
It's Brother Devin here.
Hi, Devin.
Hi. I just wanted to share something with you. I just this past week I told my dad that I did not want to join the family music business anymore. I'm actually going back to doing music on my own.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm allowing the spirit of the universe to I'm sitting next to the driver's seat basically.
Okay.
I'm letting God and Goddess do their thing.
Awesome. Let me do this because I do want to get through my outline.
Mm-hmm.
So let me let you hold that until the end, okay?
All right, cool.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is what she says. She says, respect your work. It is an expression of your soul. This is on page 74. It presents you to the world. It is a form of you. And this is what I love. And this is so powerful. And this is also on page 74. She says, the heroes and the world characters of former times live today in what they accomplish. And you think about men like Gandhi and King, and you think about women like Joan of Arc and Harriet Tubman and Mary Baker Eddy and Emma Curtis Hopkins. And you think about these incredible teachers, right? They live today in what they accomplish. I mean, the text that we're studying, Imelda Shanklin, I wrote somewhere, I don't know where, but I said she was like my Woman Crush Wednesday, which is like, I guess, Facebook speak or whatever, my hashtag WCW. Because literally when I'm reading her, I'm underlining like every word on the page because every word is just so meaty and like just, you bite into it and it's like, oh, she's just, I love her. She's just dope. So, but the thing is that they live on even today. So this is the why you can't just get up and go to work. You got to get up for another reason. I'm just reading from page 1. This is my notes, but I'm reading from page 74. Years do not diminish, but rather increase the wage of love and gratitude bestowed upon those who work beneficently. You have got to work for the love of what it is that you do because it speaks for you. Your whole consciousness invades and pervades your work. And it's all, and you know this, if you got somebody who is discombobulated, every time you go around them, everything is like I can't say the word I want to say, but it's a cluster. It's just like somebody had papers and then they just said, wee, like threw them all up, right? And that's how everything looks all the time. Your work speaks for you. And you know that person. You've seen them. I've been that person, so I'm not. This is not a judgment. I've been that person. In fact, if you go up to my office today, I got boxes just here. This is confession session. I got boxes that when I moved in here that I still have not unpacked. So this is what it is. But my point is that your consciousness pervades everything that you do. Here's the thing. Time does not apologize for those whose work, for those who work for the hurt of others, nor does it minimize the nature of their deeds. Hitler is still as heinous today as he was in 1945, if not more so, because we tend to blow people up to mythic proportions. You think about the way that we speak about, pick anybody, Tutankhamun or Amun-Ra, or, well, the same person. But think about how we speak about these, grandiose figures, and we haven't deified them quite yet, but we've made them these they take on mythic proportions when we tell their stories. And the thing is that time won't apologize for the elements of your character that you will not work on. Sometimes we don't want to deal with our stuff. Like if I'm, say not good at confronting people and being honest with them, and I don't mean meanly, but I mean that when you get into groups, and so people never learn how to have confrontation. So there's always all of these unspoken things, and so the room is never clear because there's always me, you, and the stuff between us that we're not talking about, right? Time does not apologize for the things that you don't work on for yourself. You have to make time to improve who you are, because who you are shows up in everything that you do. I said this to my church because I'm actually taking my church through this series a little bit behind where we are, and what I said to them is that the thing is that the reason I want you to be better for Up Church. Yes, I want you to be better for Up Church because we need you, and we've got work to do, and there's God is taking us somewhere. But I know that if you're not 100 here, you're not 100 anywhere else. There's just no such thing. There's no such thing as I'm 100 here, but I'm 50 over here. People are consistent. If you are half wherever you're showing up, you half everywhere that you're showing up. So if you miss deadlines, you miss deadlines when it comes to bills. You miss deadlines when it comes to work. You miss deadlines when it comes to meeting your friend for lunch. You miss deadlines when it's time to send in a recommendation letter. You just miss deadlines. Who you are is who you are everywhere in your life. And so your work has to be on the development of your character, because your life is the witness for your true character. Your life proves who you really are. I'm going to just check for comments before I head back to my handout. Okay, we're good. All right. So the second part of this is how does life pay? Is that your challenge is to develop your true character. So there's so much to say about this, but probably the first thing is that learn to get practice out of the things that challenge you. Learn to get practice out of the things that challenge you. One of the things that, you were talking about a bug up my dress, is somebody talking about what God ordained in their life. There is nothing that God ordained in your life except absolute good. And people will tell you stories. They will say, God set this up. No, you allowed it to be so in your experience. And the reason things challenge you is because there are qualities in you that you have not yet developed. And so what the challenges do is that they push on you to bring out those qualities. But that is not God ordained. And you can take that to James 1:13 if you want to go find the quote unquote word of God. Let no man say that he is tempted of God. The problems that come into your experience are the problems that you create. And this is the thing, you've seen people create problems. You've seen somebody get in a relationship And they want to be in a love relationship. They want to deeply, deeply, deeply be in a love relationship. And then no sooner have they been in a relationship for 10 minutes that all of a sudden the thing that they left the other relationship for is the very thing that somehow shows up in that relationship. Or somebody really, 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 really wants to be in a relationship, and they don't do any of the things that make them suitable for a companion. So we create our world. Now, it's fine for you to assign meaning, and that's one of the ways of learning to emotionally manage the challenges that are happening in your life. It is fine for you to assign meaning, but please understand that that meaning is objective. The bare facts are a challenge came up. The qualities that I need to meet it are not yet developed. They're in me, but they're not yet brought out of me. And whether I rise to it or shrink from it just has to do with whether or not I'm willing to grow or whether or not I'm willing to stay in the same place that I'm in. So life, your challenges will develop you. And they come up in an order because there's an intelligence to the universe. And so that you want, let's say, Z, right? You're at A and you want Z. But there's an entire alphabet that you got to go through as far as the development process to become the type of person that can have Z. You want it. It's rightfully yours to want it. And it's rightfully yours because you can't conceive it without the power and the presence of God first pressing it in on your spirit. So it's right for you to have it, but you got to become the person that can have it. You need the consciousness to have it. And so the challenges that come up are asking you to develop a quality, plural, qualities in you that you're going to need in order to possess Z. But usually what happens is that we say, oh no, life is unfair. This is not right. They did this to me. This company is just bad the way that they're doing things. I wouldn't want to work for somebody that behaves like this. These are the things that people say. This is not right. And really, this challenge is only here because there's a quality in you that's ready to be birthed. And the only question at hand is, are you ready to grow? And if you're not ready to grow, then you offer an excuse. But if you're ready to grow, then you speak face to face, eye to eye with the challenge, and you ask, what did you come to teach me? What did you come to draw out of me? Who am I? Who are you asking me to become? What aspect of my divinity am I now getting ready to learn about? That is the way you handle the challenges that come up. But please don't put all that stuff on God. Anita said, girl, God keeps us holy. Constance says, your core work class rings in me with understanding what I assign meaning to with my experience. Yes. Marvin says, we know that all things work together for good. Absolutely. Alita says, I said God is good all the time, and all the time God is good, and if it ain't good, it ain't God. There you go. If it ain't good, it ain't God. That's it. If it ain't good, it ain't God. And I don't have to have it. How does life pay? Life pays you in an exact wage. Now, Galatians 6 and 7 says, God is not mocked. This is what she writes on page 78. Life cannot be mocked. The only crop that you can reap is the crop that you sow in your own consciousness. The only crop that you can reap. Okay, here. There are plenty of crops to be reaped. Excuse me. There are plenty of crops to be reaped. But the only one that you've got access to is the one that you have developed. So in this country, every year, there are millions of jobs that go unfilled. Millions of jobs that go unfilled. They flat out do not have anyone that is qualified to fill the job. But you can't fill it because you haven't developed the quality in you and the skill set in you to take the job. And you say there are no jobs. It's so hard to find a job. No, there are millions of jobs. Millions. Look it up. This is U.S. Census data. This is not me making this up. Millions of jobs that go unfilled. And you say, well, that's not my interest. There are millions. You don't think one of them is going to fit your interest? You don't think one of them is going to fit your interest? Again, what universe are you working in? Are you working in a universe where your needs get met? Are you working in a universe where it's, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't? Because that goes back to last week's episode, which is, are you living in the fake world? Are you living in the real world? Because in the real world, your needs are met, which means that there is a job or an income plan for you that allows you to keep your integrity and not do harm to anyone in order for you to have. That's what the real world is. The fake world is there's only enough and only so many people get enough. I thought I had a comment from Yvonne. I must have lost it. Marvin says, I need to pull some weeds in my consciousness. I know that's right. Me too. Me too. I really want you to get that as much as I love teaching this, I'm also a student of this. I'm very much a student of this. It's one of the things that I love about the New Thought movement, and hopefully this quality about it will not change in time. But your ministers are also your fellow students, and I may have run out a little bit ahead as far as learning how to share the information and teach the information, but I am also moving in the same path as you. There are also places in my life where I'm working to overcome, where I'm working to shift my consciousness, where I'm working to be more intentional and more exact in my living. And it's one of the things that attracted me to this spiritual discipline, because it's not about putting on pretenses, because I can see your life. You pretending for somebody else. And it's like consciousness. First of all, there's no end point because you're infinite. So it's not like you get to some place called there, right? So you're consciously and continually developing. So there's always a new obstacle to overcome. And not obstacle in a bad way, but there's always a new quality within you that is seeking to be born. Yvonne says, I was just talking negatively about my job today. I'm waiting to learn the lesson so I can be released. Yes. Amen. Constance says, always a student, always a way to grow and expand. I am so open to the expansion of my divinity. Me too. Lord, me too. I was telling somebody, Sherri, last night, I was like, Lord, I'm ready for my mind to change. Ready for my mind to change. Life, there are no favorites on God's payroll. Life pays you in the currency of the realm wherein you operate, either in the real or the fake. Wherever you operating, if you operating in the fake world where only so many people have and others don't, it pays you in the currency of that realm. But if you operate in the real world, and the operation is in your thinking, if you operate in the real world, life pays you in the currency of that realm. So you do not work for things. You work for the revelation of God within your being. Every day when you get up, what needs to pull you out of bed is what new aspect of me is going to be revealed to me. And if you think about it, this is what happens with children. When Jordan gets up, it's like, what new thing am I going to discover today? And every morning he wakes up with a smile on his face. Every morning. Maybe every now and then he'll wake up and that pacifier is not in immediate eyesight, and he whines to get the pacifier. But once he got the pacifier, he just turns on that smile. And he is happy as he can be. And he's like, yeah. And he says, Ma. So, and it's loud, like, I'm up. And the only reason we lose that is that we get to the place where we have lost the beginner's mind, where we have lost the art of the imagination. And we have given ourselves over to skepticism and doubt and all kinds of other things. And so the whole point of waking up spiritually is to become like a little child. not to return to some place in ignorance, but to reawaken that space where every day is an opportunity, where every day is a fresh new discovery. Life pays you an exact wage. Train yourself not to work for things, and you can do that. You don't need another class to be able to do that. You can do that right now. I no longer work for things. And so you can post a question, carry it in your wallet, or post it on your mirror in your bathroom. What new thing am I going to discover about me today? And when you get in your bed at night with your journal, what new thing did I discover about me today? You got to back it up so that it becomes part of your practice. And eventually, you won't need the journal because it'll just be what you do. So what new thing? I'm infinite. I'm infinite because I'm like God. I am infinite. I don't have a beginning. I don't have an end. And I have no restrictions save for the ones that my consciousness puts on me. So what new thing is going to come out of me? And the thing is that if you allow the distractions of this world, I was talking to my mom and I said, you know, this whole situation with race is so heightened in this country right now. It's just, like I said, like a fever pitch. That's a distraction. That's a distraction. Again, this is not a stick your head in the sand spiritual philosophy. And it's not about you not getting involved. But what quality is what is happening, asking to be born in you? What quality is all the just heightened, you know, everybody's angry. People are saying stuff now that they probably wouldn't say if things were not so heightened. So everybody's just making mistakes and being stupid and, you know, just saying ridiculous stuff, right? And probably in a different climate, well, not the brutality, because that seems to have been going on for a while, but the misspeaks, so people just say dumb stuff that's like, you know, they, whatever. Anyway, my point is that it's a distraction. So what you want to ask about it is that, what is this asking to be born in me? What quality, what part of my divinity is being called out of me to respond to what's happening in the world? And how am I supposed to show up for what is happening? Because I take responsibility for my world. I'm a part of this, even if I'm not a person putting out hate speech, even if I'm not a person putting out, you know, saying crazy stuff about people of other ethnicities. Even if I'm not that person, I'm still a part of this collective community of people called the United States of America. So what part of this, what part of myself is this drama asking me to develop in me? I've got to begin to ask those questions because it's in your face. If you just scroll through your Facebook feed, it's in your face. If you turn on the news, it's in your face. If you look at the television screen, it's in your face. And so it's asking you, who do you need to become to respond to this? And if you handle it, if you don't know what you are, and you think of yourself as a limited person, limited by your financial situation, limited by your physical situation, limited by your relational situation, whatever that is, then you show up like that. But if you know that you are the living son of the living God, then you've got to show up differently. You cannot shrink from it as if it does not concern you, and you cannot shrink from it as if it is bigger than you. I just want to check for comments. Okay, we're good. This is something I'm actually personally demonstrating right now, working on, and this is, I challenge you to do this, is to really understand that life is an exchange between God and you. Life is an exchange between God and you. Now, I want to explain a concept in New Thought that I want you to get because it's important, which is that there is only one mind. There's only one, and that one is God. You do not have a mind. So sometimes we talk about mind, we throw this term mind around, and it can get confusing because it can make you feel like you are separate and apart from God, but you are a part of the one mind. And the best analogy that I know is like a radio tuner. So the same way that I don't have a radio that I can point to, but you know how there's a dial on there and it goes from 87 all the way to 107, right? And they're different frequencies. And depending on where you turn the dial determines what station you bring in. And then there's the AM and the FM, which I forgot what those stand for. I know it's modulated and amplified, or I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to mess it up. Anyway, AM, FM, or anywhere on that dial. And the way that you get to the radio station is that you tune in. And so if you can imagine God as this infinite radio station, and your thoughts and your feelings are basically the knob that determine where you tune in. And so you may tune in to a high degree of love, or there can be so much noise and interference in your thinking and your feeling that though you are tuned into love, it comes pressed out of you in an abusive relationship. Though you are tuned into peace, it comes pressed out of you in chaos. Michael Beckwith said this, and I thought it was just powerful, which is that behind every human aberration, behind every mess you see in humanity, is a spiritual aspiration. Because there's only God, there's only good. So what you see when you see these errors, when you see this police brutality, when you see this thievery, when you see the fact that not wanting girls to be educated, and in this country too, but in other countries, when you see this kind of stuff, what you're really seeing is someone taking a God idea and misusing it. Everything boils back to a God idea. The only thing that changes is the consciousness through which the idea flows through. The only thing that changes, that influences the manifestation, is the consciousness through which the idea flows through. So poverty is a misuse of the abundance idea. Hate is a misuse of the love idea. Chaos is a misuse of the order idea. But all of it is boiled back down to God. All because God is all there is. And so you don't have a mind in probably the way that you're thinking about it, where it's this separate entity and your mind is separate from my mind. You are a point of awareness in the mind, capital M, in the mind of God. And so you study, you meditate, you pray, you sit in the silence, you commune with like-minded people, because what you're trying to do is you want to improve how you tune it in. When I go to church and I'm with a group of like-minded people, my ability to tune in is heightened. There's music, there's all these things that contribute. Worshiping in color, when we come together with our New Thought community on November 1st, when we come together, that tuning in is going to be at a fever pitch because of all of these like-minded people walking in the room who know that they are made in the image and likeness of the only power that there is. That's fire. So what I'm asking you to do is to understand that you are in this exchange, and the only relationship in your life that matters is the relationship between you and God, the all good. And so when you become deliberate with it, so for example, I've been working on a writing piece where I'm working to create a new income stream and open up a new income stream. And so what I'm doing is I'm building it in consciousness. And so I've been showing up every day with the writing. And it's absolutely a partnership. And then there was a point, this was Monday, I had taken off, I have a part-time job, I had taken off on Monday because I was going to do a whole lot of writing. And I had this moment of just meltdown where it was like, wait a minute. And it was like, no, 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 no. You're in a partnership. And you've done your part, and now you got to trust the Spirit to do its part. So I think it says Paul planted, Apollos watered, but it's God that gives the increase. So it's you've got to learn to build things in consciousness. And the things that you are building, it's asking you to become something. One of the things that I had to become, I used to be an all or nothing person. When I got ready to write, I sat down, I wrote everything all at once. But in order to get this done, this was such a huge task to just kind of work in the blind, not in the blind, but work and not have an immediate result. And I had to become the type of person that works a little bit each day. So again, what gets you out of bed? Because there are qualities that who you are becoming that have to come out. And so the challenges that you are facing are asking something to come out of you. And what you want to ask for is like, okay, what part of me is looking to be birthed right now? You're here because it's time for me to do something different. You're here because it's ready. It's time for me to grow. Giving and receiving is the law that governs your exchange with God. And so the giving, you name what you get from God by what you give. Let me say it. Okay, hold on. Because I need to see faces so I can know that this is landing. You name how God blesses you by what you give. Remember, God is infinite and formless. So the only way for it to come into your experience is for you to press something out so that it can be impressed in you. You got to send it out for it to come back in. So the law that governs your relationship with God is the giving and receiving. So what is it that you're going to give? And she writes this on hold on. Page 85, she says, life is an exchange between you and God. You name what is exchanged and how much is exchanged. Give your limited good for his unlimited good. So it's like, give up the stuff that you ain't good at. Give up the stuff that's holding you back. Give up the hate. Give up the selfishness. Give up the suspiciousness and the skepticism. Give all of that up. Give your foolishness for his wisdom. Give your weakness for his strength. The fictions, because that's what they are, they're just fictions. The fictions that you offer him will cease in his realities to trouble you and the universe no more. So just give it the unforgiveness, just give it up. Just let it go. Give it up to God. We used to sing this song during our meditation, give it to God and release it. Sometimes you might need to just pray, because you may not know how to get rid of something, right? And it's like, Spirit, I give you this fear, right? You got to let it go. You've got to let it go so that you can be given what is real. That's saying the same thing. Become intentional in your giving and in developing your partnership. So in review, how does life repay us with all that we are and all that we're worth? Life is a witness to your true character. Your real work is the building of your character. Number 2, your challenges develop your true character. Learn to show up as a spiritual giant that you are. Number 3, life pays an exact wage. Become intentional in how and what you work for. Work for the revelation of God within you. And number 4, life is an exchange between God and you. Become mindful of this exchange and then intentional in its use. And my call to action to you this week is resolve to live for life and not for the manifestations of life. And that's just simple. Just put a question on your wall. What new thing am I going to learn about myself today? And there's always something new. And then check yourself at the end of the day. What did I learn? And then number 2, pick a project that you're going to practice working your partnership with God. Pick a project, whatever that is. It might be, Devon, you mentioned your music. Pick that project and practice working your partnership with God. And then number 3, leave a comment on this YouTube video with your results. So let me know how it goes for you. All right, how do we do? 9:03. I've been trying to get back to my clean hour. All right, we'll do five minutes of questions. Oh, wait, let me read the comments. Constance says, life is an exchange between good, love, peace, joy, strength, wisdom, power, all the aspects of God and me. Beautiful. The only thing that changes the aspect of God is the consciousness that flows through it. Love it. Can't wait to quote you in my basic truth class with this one. Wow. Thank you. Andrea, all ideas come from God but are filtered through individual consciousness. Yes. Ray says, thanks, Andrea. That's something deep to think about. Marvin says, Paul not only had a relationship with the Christ, he identified himself, yes, he did, with the Christ. Andrea, yes, Ray, I'm working with that now, clearing that consciousness, giving, receiving, it never fails. Marvin, in my healing circle, we spend half the time giving healing and half the time receiving the healing. I love that. That we do, sometimes when we get going, we do such a good job giving and such a poor time receiving, but they're both sides of the same coin. You got to do both. That God does not require any martyrs. That it's an exchange. There's a give and there's a receive, so you got to receive. Thank you. Questions? Any questions about tonight's material? Hey, Devon.
I had a question, but I forgot what I was going to ask.
Okay. All right. Well, you can unmute yourself if you think of it. Any other questions? All right, then I thank you guys for tonight. I hope this was helpful. I got closer to my hour. We're at 9:05, but I started a few minutes late because I was trying to make my slide. Again, if you're in the Los Angeles area, November 1st, Worshiping in Color. If you are part of one of the New Thought churches in the Los Angeles area, or Southern California really, please reach out to me via email or Facebook or whatever, because there's a space for the ministers to speak. So if you are a minister or your minister is available to speak, we want to include them on that day. So please, please, please reach out to us. I'm so excited. This event is going to be wonderful and massive and just amazing. And Rashi, who is just my girl, and I just thank God for her. She says, awesome as usual, Rev. Thank you, thank you. Constance says, as always, you were excellent. Thank you. I got so wrapped up, I neglected the Facebook Live. Oh, well, must have been for me tonight. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you, guys. Have a great night. I will see you next week. We are on Chapter 6 next week, and I left my book upstairs. But Chapter 6 next week. If you need a free download, go to truthunity.net, type in the author's name, Imelda Shanklin, and you'll be able to pull a free download from that. And, of course, go over to the website and sign up for my newsletter. All right. Talk to you later. Have a great night.